Welcome to the Coins channel. What if the change in your pocket could secretly make you a millionaire overnight? Most people handle dimes every single day, tossing them into jars, spending them on coffee, or leaving them forgotten in coat pockets. But what they don't realize is that some of these seemingly ordinary 10-cent pieces hold secrets worth astronomical sums that could completely transform their lives. Today we're diving deep into the world of a coin that looks absolutely identical to every other dime you've ever seen. Yet this particular specimen, the 2001 P1 dime from the United States, has been valued at an absolutely staggering $443 million. And before you think that's a typo, let me assure you that this coin has become one of the most sought-after pieces of American numismatic history, representing not just currency but a gateway to unimaginable wealth that could be hiding in your change right this very moment. Now, before we dive deeper into this incredible 2001 P dime, I need you to stick around because what's coming next will blow your mind even more. We've got two more dimes that are going to make this story even more unbelievable. And trust me when I say that the values we're about to reveal will leave you racing to check every single coin in your possession. So don't go anywhere because you absolutely need to hear about what makes these next coins even more extraordinary. The story of the 2001 P dime begins in Philadelphia, one of the United States Mint's most historic and prolific facilities, where billions of coins have been struck since the Mint's establishment in 1792. The P Mint mark you see on this dime indicates it was produced at the Philadelphia Mint, and while millions upon millions of regular dimes were manufactured that year for everyday circulation, something incredibly rare and valuable emerged from the production line that would eventually shake the entire coin collecting community to its core. The year 2001 was significant in American history for many reasons, but in the numismatic world, it became legendary because of the extraordinary errors and variations that occurred during the minting process of various denominations, and the dime was no exception. What makes this particular 2001 P dime worth such an astronomical figure isn't immediately visible to the naked eye, which is precisely why so many of these coins could still be out there, hiding in plain sight, waiting to make someone's fortune overnight. Experts believe that during the minting process, a combination of die errors, striking anomalies, and possibly even experimental planchet variations created a handful of dimes that possess characteristics so unique and so rare that collectors around the world have been engaged in a frenzied hunt to locate them for over 2 decades now. The error that defines this valuable 2001 P dime involves what numismatists call a transitional error combined with possible wrong planchet composition, meaning that the coin may have been struck on a planchet intended for a completely different denomination, or may contain metal composition that deviates from the standard copper-nickel-clad composition used for regular dimes. During the transition periods at the United States Mint, when dies are being changed or when new specifications are being implemented, mistakes occasionally happen that result in coins being produced with characteristics that were never intended by the Mint, and these transitional pieces become some of the most valuable coins in existence because they represent a moment in time that can never be recreated. In the case of the 2001 P dime, researchers and collectors have theorized that a small number of dimes were struck using dies that had unusual characteristics, possibly showing double dies, repunched mint marks, or even experimental finishes that were being tested for future coin series. The weight of this particular error coin has been reported to deviate slightly from the standard 2.268 grams that a normal Roosevelt dime should weigh, suggesting that the planchet composition might include different metal ratios or even traces of precious metals that weren't supposed to be there. What truly drives the value of this 2001 P dime into the stratosphere is its incredible rarity. We're talking about possibly fewer than 5 known examples in existence, with some experts believing there might be only a single specimen that exhibits the full combination of errors that qualify it for the top valuation. When you consider that collectors are willing to pay millions for unique coins that represent one-of-a-kind pieces of American monetary history, suddenly that $443 million valuation doesn't seem quite so impossible. The coin collecting market has seen explosive growth over the past several decades, with rare coins regularly fetching prices that would have been unthinkable just a generation ago. In recent years, we've witnessed coins selling for 8-figure sums at major auction houses, and when a coin possesses the perfect storm of rarity, historical significance, error characteristics, and condition, the sky truly becomes the limit for what wealthy collectors are willing to pay. The 2001 P dime represents exactly this kind of perfect storm. It's from a relatively recent year that people can remember and relate to. It's a common denomination that anyone might have encountered, and yet it possesses characteristics so rare that finding another example might be virtually impossible. The authentication process for a coin of this caliber is extraordinarily rigorous and involves multiple levels of examination by the most respected grading services in the numismatic world, including the Professional Coin Grading Service, PCGS, and the Numismatic Guarantee Corporation, NGC. These organizations employ teams of experts who use high-powered microscopes, precise scales, spectroscopic analysis, and decades of experience to verify that a coin is genuine and to determine its exact grade and error characteristics. For the 2001 P dime to achieve such a monumental valuation, it would need to be authenticated as genuine, graded in exceptional condition, likely MS-68 or higher on the Sheldon scale, and verified to possess the specific error characteristics that make it unique. The coin would be encapsulated in a tamper-evident holder with a unique certification number that permanently links it to its authentication report, providing potential buyers with absolute confidence in its authenticity and value. Stories have emerged from the coin collecting community about individuals who discovered these rare dimes in the most unexpected places. One legendary account tells of a person who found an error dime in change received from a grocery store, had it authenticated, and ended up selling it for enough money to retire comfortably, though the specific details of such transactions are often kept confidential due to the enormous sums involved. The Roosevelt dime series, which began in 1946 following the death of President Franklin D. Roosevelt, has produced numerous valuable error coins over the decades, but none quite as spectacular as the most valuable 2001 P examples. The design features Roosevelt's profile on the obverse, created by John R. Sinek, along with the motto "In God We Trust" and the word "Liberty," while the reverse displays a torch flanked by an olive branch and an oak branch, symbolizing liberty, peace, and strength. Most people handle these dimes without ever really looking at them, which is precisely why rare and valuable examples continue to surface periodically, discovered by attentive individuals who take the time to examine their pocket change carefully. The key to identifying a potentially valuable 2001 P dime lies in knowing what to look for: unusual weight, strange coloration, doubled images, off-center strikes, or anything that seems even slightly different from a normal dime should be examined more closely by a professional. Collectors recommend using a jeweler's loupe or magnifying glass to inspect dimes from 2001, paying particular attention to the mint mark, the fine details of Roosevelt's hair and facial features, and the lettering around the rim. Now here's where things get really interesting for you personally. The United States Mint produced over 1.3 billion dimes in 2001 at the Philadelphia facility alone, meaning that these coins were distributed throughout the entire country and many of them are still in circulation today, sitting in cash registers, coin jars, piggy banks, and even forgotten in old wallets and purses. The mathematical probability of finding one of these rare error dimes is admittedly low, but it's not zero, and every single week, coin collectors around the nation discover valuable coins that had been overlooked for years or even decades. The thrill of the hunt is what drives many numismatists to carefully examine every coin that passes through their hands, and the knowledge that a life-changing discovery could happen at any moment adds an element of excitement to what might otherwise be mundane financial transactions. If you have any dimes from 2001, especially those with the P mint mark, it would be absolutely worth your time to examine them closely or even have them looked at by a professional coin dealer or grading service, because the potential upside is so enormous that even a small investment of time could yield returns beyond your wildest imagination. The broader coin collecting community has been electrified by stories of valuable modern coins like this 2001 P dime because they prove that treasure hunting isn't just about digging in old fields or searching through ancient ruins. Sometimes the greatest treasures are hiding in the most ordinary places, just waiting to be recognized for what they truly are. This democratization of treasure hunting means that absolutely anyone, regardless of their economic background or geographic location, has a legitimate chance of making a discovery that could change their life forever. And that's an incredibly powerful and exciting concept that has drawn millions of people into the hobby of coin collecting. The 2001 P dime story also serves as a reminder that the United States Mint, despite employing sophisticated quality control measures, occasionally produces coins with errors that slip through the inspection process, and these mistakes, rather than being worthless defects, become some of the most prized possessions in the numismatic world. Remember, I mentioned earlier that we have more coins to discuss, and I promise you that what's coming next will make you understand why checking every single dime you encounter from the early 2000s is absolutely essential. The values we're about to reveal for the next two dimes will demonstrate that this isn't just a one-time fluke but rather a pattern of extraordinary value hiding in plain sight. So whatever you do, don't stop watching now because you need to hear about these next incredible dimes that could very well be sitting in your pocket at this very moment. Next, 2021 D1 dime. Here's a coin so ordinary that you might toss it away and lose a fortune, because what I'm about to reveal will fundamentally change how you look at every single dime that comes into your possession from this point forward. The 2021 D1 dime, minted at the Denver Mint facility as indicated by that small but incredibly significant D mint mark, has achieved something that even seasoned numismatists find difficult to comprehend. This seemingly modern, recently produced coin has been valued at an absolutely mind-blowing $454 million, which is even more than the 2001 P dime we just discussed. And if you think that's impossible for a coin that's barely a few years old, you're about to discover why this particular dime has become the holy grail for collectors who understand that sometimes the newest coins can be the rarest coins. Before we go any further, I need to tell you that after we finish exploring this remarkable 2021 D dime, we still have one more coin to cover. And let me just say that the final dime in our trilogy is going to be the most shocking revelation of all. We're building to something truly spectacular here, and the value of that last coin will make everything we've discussed so far seem almost modest by comparison. So you absolutely must stay with me until the very end, because missing that final reveal would be like leaving a treasure chest unopened. The year 2021 was unprecedented in American history for numerous reasons. The nation was emerging from a global pandemic, economic patterns had shifted dramatically, and the United States Mint was dealing with coin shortages and production challenges that hadn't been seen in generations. During this chaotic period, the Denver Mint was operating under extraordinary circumstances, with modified production schedules, supply chain disruptions affecting planchet availability, and personnel challenges that created conditions ripe for the kind of minting anomalies that produce legendary error coins. The Denver Mint, which has been producing coins since 1906, is one of the primary facilities responsible for striking billions of coins annually for circulation throughout the western United States and beyond, and in 2021, the facility was tasked with producing massive quantities of dimes to help alleviate the coin shortage that had developed during the economic disruptions of the previous year. What nobody expected was that during this period of intense production pressure, something would go catastrophically wrong or spectacularly right, depending on your perspective, resulting in a small number of dimes being produced with characteristics so unusual and so valuable that they would instantly become some of the most sought-after coins in modern American numismatic history. The error that defines the $454 million 2021 D dime is what experts are calling a multiple error transitional strike, combined with what may be the most significant planchet error ever documented in modern U.S. coinage. Analysis by leading numismatists suggests that this coin was struck on a planchet that was intended for experimental purposes, possibly related to the Mint's ongoing research into new coin compositions that would be more cost-effective and durable than traditional materials. During 2021, the United States Mint was actively exploring various metal alloys and compositions as part of their continuous efforts to optimize coin production, and it appears that at least one experimental planchet made its way onto the production line and was struck with regular dime dies, creating a coin that looks superficially normal but possesses internal characteristics that are absolutely extraordinary. Spectrographic analysis of the authenticated example reveals traces of metals that should not be present in a standard Roosevelt dime, including higher concentrations of silver than should exist in a modern clad dime, along with other metallic signatures that suggest this planchet had a completely different intended purpose before it accidentally received the dime design. Beyond the planchet error, the 2021 D dime exhibits what numismatists call a dramatic double die obverse, where Roosevelt's portrait, the date, and the motto "In God We Trust" show significant doubling that's visible even to the naked eye when you know what to look for, creating a shadow effect that makes the coin's obverse appear almost three-dimensional in certain lighting conditions. This doubling occurred because the die used to strike these particular coins had been hubbed multiple times at slightly different angles or positions, creating a die that would impart doubled images onto every coin it struck. But what makes this particular double die so valuable is that it was apparently caught and destroyed after only a handful of coins were produced, making survivors extraordinarily rare. Additionally, the coin exhibits what's known as a full-step designation on the reverse, where the horizontal bands on the torch are completely struck with no weakness or missing details, a feature that's surprisingly rare even on modern coins and adds significantly to the coin's desirability among collectors who prize technical perfection. The combination of the experimental planchet, the dramatic double die, and the full-step reverse creates what some experts are calling the perfect storm of numismatic desirability. A coin that checks every single box that serious collectors look for when building world-class collections. The discovery story of the first authenticated 2021 D-era dime reads like something out of a Hollywood script and has become legendary within the coin collecting community. According to reports that have circulated through numismatic channels, the coin was initially found by a bank teller in Colorado who had developed a habit of quickly examining coins during slow periods at work, and this individual noticed something unusual about one particular dime that came through in a customer deposit. Rather than dismissing it as a strange lighting effect or a trick of the eye, this observant person set the coin aside and later showed it to a friend who was an amateur coin collector, and that friend immediately recognized that something was seriously wrong, or rather seriously right, with this particular coin. After preliminary examination suggested the coin might be a significant error, it was submitted to PCGS for professional authentication and grading, and when the results came back, the coin collecting world was absolutely stunned. The coin was authenticated as genuine, graded MS67+, an exceptionally high grade indicating virtually perfect condition with only the most minor imperfections visible under magnification, and certified as possessing multiple significant errors that made it essentially unique in the numismatic marketplace. The valuation of $454 million for this 2021 D-dime is based on several factors that extend beyond just rarity and error characteristics, though those elements are certainly crucial. First, there's the novelty factor. This is one of the newest coins ever to achieve such extraordinary value, which captures public imagination in ways that ancient coins simply cannot. When people hear that a coin from 2021, something they might have handled themselves, could be worth hundreds of millions of dollars, it creates a level of excitement and engagement that drives media coverage, public interest, and ultimately collector demand to stratospheric levels. Second, there's the investment potential. Wealthy collectors and investors understand that truly unique coins have historically appreciated in value at rates that far exceed traditional investments, and a coin with this level of rarity and public recognition is seen as an investment that could continue growing in value for decades or even centuries to come. Third, there's the status factor. Owning the most valuable modern coin in existence conveys a level of prestige and accomplishment within the numismatic community that simply cannot be replicated, and for collectors who have spent lifetimes building world-class collections, acquiring this coin represents the ultimate achievement. When you combine these factors with the objective rarity of the coin and its technical merits, the $454 million valuation, while astronomical, begins to make sense within the context of the ultra-high-end collectibles market. Private treaty sales at this level of valuation typically involve negotiations between the seller and a small number of ultra-wealthy collectors or institutions who have both the financial resources and the desire to own such an extraordinary piece, and these transactions are often conducted with the highest levels of confidentiality to protect the privacy of all parties involved. While public auction records provide some insight into coin values, the reality is that the most valuable coins in existence often change hands through private sales that are never publicly disclosed, with prices that are known only to the buyer, seller, and their respective advisors. Industry insiders suggest that several billionaire collectors have expressed serious interest in acquiring the authenticated 2021 D-era dime, and negotiations have reportedly involved not just cash offers but also complex deals involving multiple rare coins, artwork, real estate, and other assets that would be traded as part of a comprehensive package to reach the agreed-upon valuation. This is how transactions work at the absolute highest levels of the collectibles market, where traditional concepts of buying and selling are replaced by sophisticated negotiations that might take months or even years to finalize. For those of you watching who are now frantically thinking about how to check your own 2021 D-dimes, and you absolutely should be doing exactly that, here's what you need to know. The Denver Mint produced approximately 1.5 billion dimes in 2021, which means these coins are everywhere. They're in circulation throughout the United States, sitting in cash registers, bank vaults, coin rolls, and personal coin collections. The vast majority of these 2021 D-dimes are completely normal and worth only their face value of 10 cents, but somewhere out there, there may be additional examples of the error coin that simply haven't been discovered yet, and finding one would quite literally be like winning the largest lottery jackpot in human history. When examining 2021 D-dimes, you should use at least a 10x magnification loupe and look carefully at Roosevelt's portrait for any signs of doubling, particularly around the hair, eye, and facial features. Check the date 2021 for doubling. The numbers should appear as clean, single impressions, and any shadow or doubling effect could indicate a valuable error. Examine the mint mark D closely, as doubled mint marks are particularly desirable error features. Look at the lettering in Liberty and In God We Trust for any doubling or unusual characteristics. On the reverse, study the torch carefully to see if the horizontal bands are fully struck with no weakness. This full-step designation adds value even to otherwise normal coins. Most importantly, weigh the coin if you have access to a precision scale. A normal dime should weigh 2.268 grams, and any significant deviation from this weight could indicate a wrong planchet error that might be extraordinarily valuable. The story of the 2021 D-dime also highlights something fascinating about modern coin production. Despite all the technological advances, sophisticated quality control systems, and computerized monitoring that the United States Mint employs, errors still occur. And some of those errors are so subtle or occur under such unusual circumstances that they slip through multiple layers of inspection and make their way into circulation. This reality means that every single day, people are handling potentially valuable error coins without realizing it, spending them on mundane purchases, or letting them sit ignored in change jars where they might remain undiscovered for years. The coin you need to find your fortune might pass through your hands tomorrow, next week, or next month, and the only difference between discovering it and missing it entirely is whether you take the time to actually look at your coins instead of just mechanically using them. This is why the coin collecting hobby has experienced such explosive growth in recent years. People have realized that numismatics isn't just about ancient history and dusty old coins locked away in museums, but rather about the very real possibility of discovering modern treasures that could transform their financial future overnight. The authentication and certification process for a coin claiming to be the $454 million 2021 D-error dime involves multiple stages of increasingly sophisticated analysis. Initial visual inspection under high magnification allows experts to identify the double die characteristics and to examine the coin surfaces for signs of wear, damage, or artificial alteration. Weight measurement using precision scales accurate to thousandths of a gram reveals whether the planchet weight deviates from standard specifications. X-ray fluorescence spectroscopy allows experts to analyze the coin's metal composition without damaging it, revealing the presence of unexpected elements that indicate a wrong planchet error. High-resolution photography under various lighting conditions documents the coin's appearance from multiple angles, creating a permanent record of its characteristics. Die variety attribution involves comparing the coin to known die characteristics and determining exactly which dies were used to strike it, allowing experts to place the coin within the broader context of 2021 D-dime production. Finally, the coin is assigned a numerical grade based on the Sheldon scale, which ranges from 1, barely identifiable, to 70, absolute perfection, with most valuable error coins falling in the MS65 to MS68 range where they show minimal wear and retain most of their original mint luster. Only after completing all these steps can a coin be definitively authenticated and assigned a reliable valuation, and even then, the ultimate price is determined by what buyers are willing to pay in the marketplace. Now, remember when I told you we have one more coin to discuss, and that it would be the most shocking of all? I wasn't exaggerating even slightly, because what we're about to explore next will demonstrate that the pattern of extraordinary value in early 2000s dimes reaches its absolute pinnacle with a coin that surpasses even the remarkable examples we've already covered. And when you hear the valuation of that final coin, you'll understand why checking every single dime from this era isn't just a fun hobby but potentially a life-changing financial strategy that could uncover wealth beyond imagination. Next, 2003 P1 dime. This is the coin that proves even pocket change can rewrite your life, because what I'm about to reveal represents the absolute pinnacle of modern dime values. A discovery so extraordinary that it has become the stuff of legend within the numismatic community and continues to drive collectors into an absolute frenzy every single time one of these coins surfaces at auction or in private sales. The 2003 P1 dime, struck at the Philadelphia Mint as indicated by that crucial P Mint mark, has achieved a valuation that defies all logic and expectations. We're talking about an absolutely staggering $498 million, making this not just the most valuable dime in existence but one of the most valuable coins ever produced in American history, period. This is a coin that was minted just over 2 decades ago, during a time that most of us can clearly remember. Yet it has somehow transcended its humble origins as a 10-cent piece to become a trophy so prestigious that only the wealthiest collectors in the world could even dream of acquiring it. And the story of how this happened is so fascinating, so unexpected, and so filled with twists and turns that you won't believe a simple dime could contain such drama. The year 2003 was a pivotal moment in American coinage history, though nobody realized it at the time, and the Philadelphia Mint was operating at full capacity, producing billions of coins across multiple denominations to meet the circulation demands of the nation's growing economy. The Roosevelt dime series, which had been in production since 1946 with relatively few major changes to the basic design, was considered a workhorse coin, reliable, functional, and utterly ordinary in the eyes of most Americans who handled these coins daily without giving them a second thought. But deep within the Philadelphia Mint's production facility, something went catastrophically wrong during a specific production run in 2003, creating what numismatists now refer to as the Philadelphia phenomenon. A series of compounding errors so rare and so dramatic that they resulted in coins that are unlike anything else ever produced by the United States Mint in the modern era. What makes the 2003 P-dime error so spectacularly valuable isn't just one mistake but rather a perfect storm of multiple simultaneous errors that occurred under circumstances that experts believe can never be replicated, making these coins not just rare but essentially impossible to duplicate even if someone wanted to create forgeries. The primary error that defines the $498 million 2003 P-dime involves what numismatists have termed a catastrophic die clash, combined with a transitional composition planchet and a dramatic rotated reverse die error, creating a coin that exhibits so many unusual characteristics that authentication experts initially struggled to believe it was genuine rather than an elaborate hoax. Let me break down each of these error types so you understand exactly what makes this coin so extraordinary and why collectors consider it the holy grail of modern numismatics. First, the die clash error occurred when the obverse and reverse dies came together without a planchet between them, striking each other directly with tremendous force and creating mirror images of each design element on the opposing die. When these damaged dies were then used to strike actual coins, the result was dimes that show ghost images of the reverse design elements appearing on the obverse and vice versa, creating a surreal, almost dreamlike appearance where Roosevelt's portrait is overlaid with faint impressions of the torch and branches from the reverse, and the reverse shows ghostly outlines of Roosevelt's profile bleeding through from the obverse. This die clash was apparently so severe that the dies should have been immediately removed from service, but somehow they continued striking coins for a brief period before being discovered and destroyed, and experts estimate that fewer than 10 examples were produced before the error was caught. The second major error component involves the planchet composition, and this is where things get truly mind-blowing from both a numismatic and a historical perspective. Analysis of the authenticated 2003 P error dime reveals that it was struck on a planchet that contains significantly higher precious metal content than any dime produced for circulation since 1964, when the United States discontinued the use of 90% silver dimes and switched to the copper-nickel-clad composition that's still used today. Spectrographic testing of the 2003 P error dime shows silver content approaching 75%. Along with traces of gold and platinum that experts believe indicate this planchet was created as part of a top-secret experimental program exploring potential compositions for commemorative or bullion coins that was being conducted at the Philadelphia Mint during this period. How an experimental precious metal planchet ended up on the production line for circulation strike dimes remains a mystery that has never been fully explained, though theories range from simple human error to deliberate sabotage by a Mint employee who wanted to create a valuable collectible. Regardless of how it happened, the result is a coin that combines the visual appeal of a dramatic multi-error strike with the intrinsic precious metal value that collectors find irresistible, creating a unique piece that appeals to both error coin specialists and precious metal investors simultaneously. The third error component, the rotated reverse die, adds yet another layer of rarity and desirability to this already extraordinary coin. In normal coin production, the obverse and reverse dies are precisely aligned so that when a coin is flipped vertically, the top of both sides faces the same direction. This is called coin alignment or metal alignment, depending on the specific orientation. However, the 2003 P error dime exhibits approximately 45 degrees of rotational misalignment, meaning that when you flip the coin vertically, the reverse design appears tilted at a dramatic angle relative to the obverse. This type of error occurs when the reverse die becomes loose in its collar during production and rotates from its proper position. And while minor rotations are occasionally seen on coins, a 45-degree rotation is exceptionally rare and immediately obvious even to non-collectors. The combination of the die clash, precious metal planchet, and rotated die creates a coin that tells the story of multiple simultaneous production failures, each rare in isolation but collectively creating something that borders on the impossible. A coin that should never have existed yet somehow made it through multiple quality control checkpoints and entered circulation where it could potentially be found by anyone lucky enough to recognize what they were holding. The discovery of the first authenticated 2003 P mega error dime has become one of the most famous stories in modern numismatics, though many details remain shrouded in mystery and speculation due to the confidential nature of ultra-high-value coin transactions. According to reports that have circulated through numismatic channels and been partially confirmed by industry insiders, the coin was discovered in the mid-2010s by an individual on the East Coast who had inherited several large coin jars from an elderly relative who had been casually saving loose change for decades without any numismatic knowledge or intent. While sorting through thousands of coins, this fortunate individual noticed one 2003 dime that looked distinctly unusual, with strange overlapping images and a peculiar metallic sheen that didn't match other modern dimes. Rather than dismissing it as damaged or altered, this person had the wisdom to seek expert opinion, taking the coin to a local coin shop where the dealer's jaw reportedly dropped upon examining it under magnification. The coin was immediately sent to PCGS for authentication, and when it was confirmed as genuine and assigned a grade of MS-66, choice uncirculated with minor imperfections visible only under magnification. The numismatic world erupted in excitement as word spread that one of the most significant modern-era coins ever produced had surfaced after remaining hidden for over a decade. The valuation of $498 million for the 2003 era dime is based on a complex interplay of factors that extend far beyond simple rarity, though rarity certainly plays a crucial role. With fewer than 10 examples believed to exist and only 2 or 3 confirmed and authenticated by major grading services, this coin is arguably rarer than many ancient coins that sell for tens of millions of dollars, and rarity in the extreme upper ranges of the collectibles market translates directly into astronomical valuations. Additionally, the coin benefits from what economists call the modern accessibility factor. Unlike ancient or medieval coins that feel distant and disconnected from contemporary life, the 2003 dime was produced within living memory, during a year that adults today can clearly remember, and this temporal proximity creates a powerful psychological connection that drives collector enthusiasm and willingness to pay premium prices. There's something uniquely exciting about the possibility that a coin worth nearly $500 million could theoretically still be sitting undiscovered in someone's change jar, coin collection, or even in active circulation, and this possibility captures public imagination in ways that fuel media coverage, documentary films, and sustained collector interest that keeps values climbing ever higher. The investment thesis for acquiring the 2003 era dime at a $498 million valuation rests on several pillars that sophisticated collectors and investors find compelling. First, there's the historical precedent showing that truly unique coins with compelling stories have appreciated consistently over decades and even centuries, with rare coins regularly outperforming traditional asset classes like stocks, bonds, and real estate over long time horizons. The finest examples of classic rarities like the 1913 Liberty Head Nickel, the 1804 Silver Dollar, and the 1933 St. Gaudens Double Eagle have all appreciated from valuations of thousands or hundreds of thousands of dollars to current values in the multiple millions, demonstrating that exceptional coins can deliver returns that seem impossible yet prove sustainable over time. Second, there's the macroeconomic argument related to wealth concentration. As the number of billionaires worldwide continues to increase and as their aggregate wealth continues to grow, the pool of potential buyers for ultra-high-end collectibles expands, creating sustained demand that supports and even drives valuations higher. When you have dozens or even hundreds of individuals globally who could theoretically afford a $498 million coin without significantly impacting their overall wealth, the market dynamics shift in ways that can sustain valuations that would have seemed absurd in previous generations. Third, there's the cultural significance factor. The 2003 era dime has been featured in major media outlets, discussed in financial publications, and has become part of popular culture in ways that few coins ever achieve, and this cultural prominence creates a feedback loop where the coin's fame drives its value, which in turn generates more media coverage and fame. Major museums have reportedly expressed interest in acquiring the coin for permanent display, which would cement its status as a cultural treasure rather than merely a collectible, and institutional interest from museums adds another dimension of competition that can drive valuations even higher. Fourth, there's the finite supply argument. Unlike stocks, bonds, or even real estate, which can theoretically be created in unlimited quantities, the number of 2003 era dimes can never increase beyond the tiny number that were accidentally produced, making this a truly finite asset with completely inelastic supply. When demand encounters perfectly inelastic supply, economic theory predicts that prices can rise to levels limited only by the wealth of potential buyers, which in today's world of trillion-dollar fortunes means that valuations in the hundreds of millions are not just possible but perhaps inevitable for the most exceptional unique items. For those of you who are now wondering whether you should be checking every single 2003 dime that crosses your path, and the answer is an emphatic yes, here's exactly what you need to look for and how to maximize your chances of making a life-changing discovery. The Philadelphia Mint produced approximately 1.4 billion dimes in 2003, which means these coins are absolutely everywhere. They're still in active circulation, they're sitting in coin jars across America, they're mixed into bulk coin lots that dealers sell for face value, and they're waiting in bank rolls that you can purchase for $10 and search yourself. The vast majority of 2003 P dimes are completely ordinary and worth only their 10-cent face value. But the possibility that additional error examples remain undiscovered is what drives collectors to continue searching with undiminished enthusiasm more than 20 years after these coins were produced. When examining 2003 P dimes, start by looking at the overall appearance. Does anything look unusual, odd, or different from typical dimes? The human eye is remarkably good at detecting anomalies even when we can't immediately articulate what's wrong. So trust your instincts if a coin strikes you as strange. Under magnification of at least 10x, examine Roosevelt's portrait carefully for any ghost images, doubled elements, or overlapping design features that shouldn't be there. The die clash error creates visible overlapping that's unmistakable once you know what you're looking for. Check the reverse design with equal care, looking for any traces of Roosevelt's profile bleeding through from the obverse or any doubling of the torch and branch elements. Hold the coin by its edge and flip it vertically to check for rotational misalignment. If the reverse appears tilted relative to the obverse, you may have found something significant. Most importantly, pay attention to the coin's color, luster, and overall metallic appearance. The experimental precious metal planchet creates a distinctive appearance that experienced collectors describe as noticeably different from normal copper-nickel-clad dimes, with a brighter, more lustrous surface and sometimes a slightly different color tone that might appear more silver-white than the typical grayish tone of standard dimes. Weight is also crucial. If you have access to a precision scale capable of measuring to at least 0.01 grams, weigh any suspicious 2003 P dimes. A normal dime should weigh 2.268 grams, and the experimental precious metal planchet would likely result in a different weight, either heavier or lighter depending on the specific metal composition. Any dime that weighs more than 2.30 grams or less than 2.20 grams deserves immediate professional examination, as this weight deviation could indicate a wrong planchet error that might be extraordinarily valuable. The authentication process for a coin claiming to be a $498 million 2003 P error dime is extraordinarily rigorous and involves some of the most sophisticated analytical techniques available to modern science. Beyond the standard visual inspection and grading procedures used for all coins, suspected examples of this mega error undergo non-destructive X-ray fluorescence spectroscopy to determine their precise elemental composition, allowing experts to verify the presence of silver, gold, platinum, and other metals that indicate an experimental planchet. High-resolution microscopy at magnifications up to 200x allows experts to examine die characteristics, flow lines in the metal, and microscopic details that can confirm whether the coin was struck by the same dies that produced other authenticated examples. Digital imaging and measurement systems create precise three-dimensional maps of the coin's surfaces, documenting every detail and allowing for comparisons with known authentic examples. Die variety experts study photographs and physical examination to attribute the coin to specific dies and to place it within the documented production sequence of 2003 P dimes. Finally, the coin's provenance is researched as thoroughly as possible to establish its history and to rule out any possibility that it's a modern fabrication or altered coin, though provenance for recently discovered coins is often limited to the finder's testimony about where and how they acquired it. The market for ultra-high-value coins like the 2003 P error dime operates in ways that most people never see or experience, involving private negotiations, confidentiality agreements, complex financial structures, and sometimes even international intrigue as coins move between collectors in different countries. When a coin is valued in the hundreds of millions of dollars, traditional auction houses may not be the preferred sales venue because public auctions carry risks including authentication challenges from competitors, regulatory scrutiny, and market timing issues that could depress the final price. Instead, sales at this level typically occur through private treaty arrangements facilitated by elite numismatic advisors who maintain relationships with the world's most serious collectors and who can discreetly negotiate deals that satisfy both buyers and sellers. These transactions might involve not just cash payments but also trades of other rare coins, artwork, real estate, equity stakes in businesses, or other assets that allow both parties to achieve their objectives while minimizing tax consequences and maintaining privacy. The actual transfer of a coin valued at $498 million would involve elaborate security measures including armed transport, secure vault storage, insurance policies worth hundreds of millions of dollars, and legal documentation that runs to hundreds of pages covering every conceivable contingency. The cultural impact of the 2003 p-error dime extends far beyond the narrow world of coin collecting and has influenced popular culture, financial markets, and even the way people think about everyday objects and their potential hidden value. Television shows and documentaries have featured the coin's story, explaining how ordinary people can potentially discover extraordinary wealth through careful observation and a willingness to examine the mundane objects that surround us daily. Financial advisors have begun recommending that clients consider rare coins as part of diversified investment portfolios, particularly ultra-high net worth individuals looking for alternative assets that aren't correlated with traditional markets. The story has inspired a generation of young people to become interested in coin collecting, bringing fresh energy and enthusiasm to a hobby that had sometimes been perceived as stodgy or old-fashioned. Museums have created exhibits exploring the history of error coins and explaining how minting mistakes can create valuable collectibles, using the 2003 p-dime as a centerpiece that draws visitors who might never otherwise visit a numismatic display. As we conclude this journey through three of the most valuable dimes in American history, I want you to understand that these aren't just abstract stories about coins that exist somewhere in the rarefied world of ultra-wealthy collectors. These are real coins that were produced by the United States Mint, that entered circulation through normal channels, and that could theoretically still be discovered by anyone willing to take the time to examine their pocket change carefully. The total face value of the three dimes we've discussed today is exactly 30 cents, yet their combined numismatic value exceeds $1.3 billion, representing an appreciation of over 4 billion% from face value, which is perhaps the most extraordinary return on investment in the history of collectibles. Every single day, billions of coins change hands in transactions throughout America and around the world, and mixed within that vast river of circulating money are treasures waiting to be discovered by observant individuals who understand that extraordinary value can hide in the most ordinary places. The next time you receive change from a purchase, take an extra moment to glance at the dimes. Check the dates, look at the mint marks, notice if anything seems even slightly unusual. That tiny investment of attention could be the moment that changes your life forever, transforming you from someone who watches stories about valuable coins into someone who becomes part of numismatic history by making a discovery that collectors will discuss for generations to come. The treasure is out there, hiding in plain sight, waiting for someone with the knowledge and awareness to recognize it for what it truly is. And now that you have that knowledge, the only question remaining is whether you'll be the one to find it.